Hi, my name is Chelsea Morgan. I am the West Zone botanist on the Tahoe National Forest, here to share the saga of Layne's butterweed of Sage Hill. Layne's butterweed, Packera layneae, is a perennial, federally threatened perennial plant that is restricted to serpentine and gabbro soils of the central Sierra Nevadas, mostly in El Dorado and Placer counties. This saga begins in 2010 when CNPS botanists found the plant on the Tahoe National Forest on a serpentine outcrop just west of Michigan Bluff that I call Sage Hill. The first management action taken was to put a fence along the road bordering the population because OHV off-road local dumping was identified as a threat to the plant. Then in 2017, we put out baseline population plots in hopes of better understanding trend since doing repeat census of a large 40-plus acre occurrence is kind of difficult. And then 2019, the Tahoe signed a decision memo for the Michigan Bluff project in which we consulted with Fish and Wildlife Service on adversely affecting the plant in order to do fuels reduction and habitat enhancement for the plant. This was based on indications that it's early successional, occupies temporary openings, likely depends on fire to create this regeneration conditions and habitat. The most recent Fish and Wildlife Service review of the species identifies encroachment of tree and shrub cover as a main threat in absence of a natural fire regime. So current management recommendations are to investigate fire and non-fire related methods of disturbance to maintain Layne's butterweed habitat. So here in our project, our prescription was to hand cut, scatter fuels, manzanita, tree cover, and then in a 3 to 5 year cycle of treatment, have a prescribed burn. So you can see large blob, Layne's butterweed within a larger unit. Honestly, I thought this was a little ambitious for such a large area to do hand thinning, also complex and costly to do prescribed burn, right in an urban interface. But thanks to NFF and matching grants, it was one of the first units to be implemented. And in 2022, August of 2022, this hatch mark here, we nearly completed the hand treatments of the occurrence area in the unit. And then, not according to plan, the mosquito fire started in September of 2022, and it burned, started below in the canyon, burned up into our freshly cured fuels treatment. And dozers attempted initial attack. Here, all these zigzag lines throughout the occurrence. Kind of went into our permanent monitoring plots, definitely impacted plants. Here's a photo here of what kind of dozer line and serpentine looks like. Aerial retardant definitely got all over the occurrence, even the unburned area. And as the red shading indicates, it burned the majority of the occurrence. And this is what the treated area looked like after being burned, but even the untreated area burned at high severity. So not maybe worst case scenario, high severity fire, recent fuel loading, suppression damage. So I was a little worried, and most of the plants within the fire were impacted, burned, or by dozer. But spring arrived, and I was relieved to see this. Pretty much spring, it was a flower party in response to the fire. So it's just this diverse, ongoing show of plants that resprouted and came up from seed, including Layne's butterweed here, came up from its roots, resprouted. A lot of seedlings coming up after the fire. Even in the dozer lines, I saw resprouting, and even in the dozer berms. So indications it's one tough plant. And a lot of flowering plants producing seed right after the fire. So for the next part of the saga, we're hoping that our plots and data can help us tell the story and guide our future planning. So the initial numbers and photos that we collected in 2023 kind of paint a picture and demonstrate that Layne's butterweed plants and their habitat were at least not negatively affected by our actions and the fire. And here's plant count also indicates that we had, you know, even across unburned and burned areas, we had increased plant count. All right, I'm out of time. Thank you.